Thursday, February 7th, 2019. Steve Sipress here. And I know how you love my book recommendations. I hear that all the time, perhaps my most popular videos and blog posts that I create from time to time. So I was going to record this from my library, or most of my books are, and then I realized I need both hands free, and also when I record on the iPhone, everything comes out backwards and you wouldn't be able to read anything or really see anything. So here we are in my office, and I have with me one of the essential books for all business owners, because I was going to say marketing minded, but of course you got to be marketing minded. That's where the money is, and hopefully that's why you watch my video. Jim is here. Good seeing you. And it is Denny Hatch's masterpiece, $1 Million Mailings. Now I have the new and expanded edition that came out about 20 years ago. The first one was about 30 years ago. And maybe there's even a newer one since. For people that don't know, Denny Hatch is the founder of Who's Mailing What? I think it's still the world's biggest archive of direct mail, of all the controls and all the tests and all the letters, all the famous and all the successful ones. And the key is, as I put up here in the subtitle, you never want to make the costly mistake of starting anything from scratch with a blank piece of paper. I mean, I get stuff all the time to critique. People send me their stuff, and my first question stumps them. I just ask, where'd you copy that from? Where'd you model that from? What'd you base that on? What successful headline did you use to model that on? Any question like that about where did that come from? And eyes glaze over and people are speechless, and unfortunately, this is all unfortunate, but it's why 90% of businesses go out of business. You're not taught this stuff in schools. Of course not. Schools don't teach entrepreneurialism. Schools teach how to be a good compliant worker for the big corporations in the military industrial complex and get a government job or a big company job, and have them tell you everything to do and limit your income and tell you when to show up and all that kind of nonsense. So I'm talking to entrepreneurs here. You want to call your own shots. You want to live your own life. You want the American dream, freedom, the freedom to succeed, the freedom to fail, the freedom to live your own life the way you want. Well, that means being an entrepreneur, providing value to a marketplace, so they'll provide you value, money, in return. And of course, still remains to this day the very best, by far, way to make money is in direct mail. But even if you're using social media or email or any of that modern technology stuff, you still got to know the basics, and it comes from direct mail, which has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. I was just looking at the back here. I glanced at it, and like Denny Hatch is pointing out here, today direct mail is the workhorse of direct marketing. The internet is but a marginalized channel for giving information and accepting orders. Like you might think, if you sit there on Facebook all day, or you sit there clicking on emails all day and you see online videos and sales letters, that, oh, gee, see, that's where everything is. I got to get the online whiz-bang funnel system and launch video series, and I got to have an email autoresponder, and that's what you're thinking in your little world. But if you examine the real world, the big world at large, every major corporation makes the bulk of its sales offline, in person and through the mail. That's where all the money's made. And even if you want to use the internet and do email, I know he says something in here. Well, I'll just tell you that basically, what does he say here? Of course, you'll find a section on how to make money on the internet and through email. However, these are common sense techniques based on the 800 years of direct mail know-how, rather than proven winners that have lasted over a few years. So email, if you're going to be successful writing emails, social media posts, funnels, all that kind of whiz-bang technology stuff, sure, go ahead and do that, but you got to know the basics, and that comes from direct mail. So this book, $1 Million Mailings. Now, I don't know if it's even in print, and you can see the price is $89. So already I've scared a bunch of you away. $89 for a book? What are you, crazy? And if it's not going to teach me how to put up a whiz-bang funnel and do social media and all the things that I think I'm supposed to do. You're telling me to do fuddy-duddy old direct mail. Well, it's time to tune out of the video and unfortunately go back to being one of the 90% of businesses that will fail. Because in here you have gold. So this is hundreds of pages. I guess I should have looked before I started. This 500, page 504 I'm looking at. So it's over 500 pages of stuff. And that's why it's Throwback Thursday. Some of these letters go way back. And not only do they have the pieces in here, the actual letters that are mailed, but also the word-by-word description walking you right through the whole process by the people that came up with these. So that's what the whole book is. It's these billion-dollar mailings that made, and some that continue to make, millions and millions of dollars, and the copywriters explaining everything behind the envelope to the pieces inside, and grabbers and no grabbers, headlines, offers, every single thing going on. So this is essential for your library, but not just to sit in the library. You got to go through this and read it. Even just by reading this stuff and getting it into your mind, you start to get the cadence of how sales letters work, and you get the idea of what the structure is, what the formulas are. I can tell you that, of course, first of all, you've got to copy success. Not word for word, of course. You've got to model it. This reminds me, my beautiful wife, Michelle, and I used to watch, I don't know if it's still on, we used to watch the American Idol show because the guy who came up with the thing, Simon Cowell, is a genius marketer. I don't know if he's still doing stuff. I'm sure he is. He's a genius marketer, of course, because he's wealthy, and that's where all the money is, in marketing. And he not only at spotting talent, but way beyond that, knowing what talent to spot. You don't think he had on the American Idol show, like, looking for the world's greatest singer. I think he even had a couple of shows that he named, like, I forget what he called them, but the premise was you don't have to have the best singing voice. You got to have that something special, that pop factor. So he's not looking for someone to be, the greatest opera singer who's technically got the finest classically trained voice or whatever. He's finding the pop stars. That's marketing, folks, right? And I just love the fact that the show was brilliant, that they were sucking millions of dollars out of major corporations for anything they could think of. There was one company that was, I think it was AT&T or something, was sponsoring the call-in, because the fans would call in to vote on the people. And so there it was. This is sponsored by AT&T, Sprint, whoever was sponsoring the thing, boom. And then there was a sponsor for the backstage hangout room where all the kids were hanging out in the room. That was sponsored by somebody. And then all the judges had on the table in front of them a drink, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, or I don't know what it was. But of course, the drink, the name, the brand name, the logo on the cup was always facing out towards the camera. I mean, I wasn't never there in person, but of course, there was somebody assigned to every single commercial break, go right down the row and turn those cups to the side after the host had taken a sip or whatever. Make sure those logos are facing out. That's how we get the big money from the brands, and so on and so on. Everything was marketing. Everything was making money. And so one thing, if anyone's a fan of any of these talent shows, I remember hearing it all the time. I haven't watched that American Idol show, and I don't even know if it's still on the air. It's got to be 10 years or something, but I do remember the kiss of death. The kiss of death was any time a kid came out and said, oh, and they would ask, what song are you singing? They go, this is an original. Oh, groan, big mistake. What are you doing? Are you sure? You're taking a big risk. You're crazy. What the heck are you thinking? In other words, we want you to copy, to steal, to take somebody else's song and then make it your own. That's what I always say. Oh, I love the fact that you took that song and you made it your own. But it starts with take that song. So maybe you can see these videos or copies of this show on the Netflix or the YouTube or wherever they keep these old shows, and you can watch them. Maybe you remember if you ever did watch them, and if they're still on, you'll see this all the time. They will say, hey, you got to take someone else's song and make it your own. Well, that's what this is all about. That's what success in business is all about. Don't make something up. Don't create something from scratch. Don't send it to me for a critique. And then when I ask, where did this come from? Well, I don't know. I just thought they would. Just tell me straight out. And you won't even have to tell me. I'll tell you. I'll say, wow, that's a brilliant copy of the famous John Cable's letter. the Claude Hopkins this or that. That's a great use of that. Wait. Now, here's a caution. I made this mistake when I first started. Is I got a book, and it was by a master copywriter and marketing teacher, became my #1 mentor in direct marketing, Dan Kennedy. He wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Letter, which is probably in its 4th or 5th or 6th edition or something. And I remember getting that, and it was meant to be a step-by-step template. Here you go, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I went through the book dutifully and did all the steps and put together my sales letter and really was convinced that I had done it correctly. And it was horrible. And I've told the story over and over, but that didn't work because I didn't have guidance. And then when I got guidance, I was able to bring my sales letter to a group of successful marketers, business owners, entrepreneurs, and I was horrified. I thought I'm going to get all the pats on the back, and I was horrified when they all started taking out their pens and going, what? No, what are you doing? No, this doesn't go here. This goes over here, and it's cut this out, and I don't know what you're thinking here. And I was like, I went back and I got the book, and I was like, man, did I even read the book? I thought I had it right here. So they saved me a lot of money. All the cost of mailing that out and all the weeks of sitting there waiting for the phone to ring and wondering what's going on. That's every day you don't get money coming in is costing you money, right? So then I redid the whole sales letter based on their help and went back through the book and went through some other stuff and came back with something better the next time I saw them, like a month later, and it was still no good, but they were like, oh, you did better, and this is better, and tweak this, and whatever. And basically I was able to go home from that second time and put something together that worked, mailed it out, bang, phone started ringing off the hook. The rest is history, because my mom was a school teacher, that I then did what my mom always said that we were to do, that we had an obligation when we learned something, start teaching it. And so I had massive success now in direct response marketing, and I started teaching it. I've taught it to thousands and thousands of business owners who have brought in millions and millions of dollars, and it's pretty much the joy of my life to see the great results and to hear the great stories from my clients and from you too watching these videos. But it starts with modeling success. So here's a great book to get, $1 Million Mailings, Denny Hatch, The Art and Science of Creating Money-Making Direct Mail, or if you really want to just do email and not make a lot of money, but you want to make a little bit of money. Even the top, these top internet marketers, I could tell you the names, but you see them all over the internet, and, but they make what? 5 million, 10 million, 20 million a year? They have $1 million, they go, oh, it's $1 million launch, like $1 million. Isn't that like 5 minutes for McDonald's? Isn't that like an hour for Coca-Cola? Like, isn't that like, 32 seconds for Facebook or Google? Like, come on now. The big companies are all using direct mail, but if you really insist on just doing the whiz-bang funnel, social media, Facebook ads, email, all that technology stuff, you still want to model it on success. 800 years of knowledge in the direct mail industry. How much of that do you have in your head? How much do you have in your library? How much do you have at your fingertips on your desk when you sit down and look to create copy, words that sell? Because everyone creates words, almost no words sell. You want to create words that sell, and you don't want to create them from scratch. You want to create them based on what's already working for years and years and years. And don't worry about modeling somebody's stuff that you see a letter from 10, 20 years ago. What do you think they did? They modeled a letter from 10, 20 years before that, 10, 20 years before that. So when you get together with me and other top marketers, if you ever get that opportunity, that's the kind of conversations we have. We don't sit there and go like, wow, congratulations with coming up with that new thing. Like, there's no such thing. We go, wow, that was a brilliant twist you did on the old tried and true whatever. And the thing that Ogilvy did, and that Caples thing, and that Claude Hopkins thing, and you really took that Gary Halbert thing and put it into a new way of great. But it all starts with modeling success. Okay, so don't be that business owner that would come out on American Idol and they'd say, what letter are you writing or what email are you sending? You say, oh, it's an original. I made it up from scratch. Oh, all the judges immediately will go, you are a lunatic. What a big, maybe it'll work. And once in a while, I'm sure one of the kids on one of those shows like gets through to the next round or gets the golden ticket or the rose or whatever they give these people on these reality shows. I'm sure that happens once in a while, but tried and trues, get up there and say, I'm singing a Whitney Houston song, and let them go, damn, that's an awesome song. I love that song. Let's hear you sing it in your way. Well, it's the same with marketing. Take the classics, 500 pages of them in here. And I got plenty more where that came from, and I'll share some others on future videos. But take the classics and then put them out in your way. But I just suggest you learn from my mistake. Don't think you're doing this on your own. Get guidance from someone or some group of people that knows what they're doing to save you a lot of time, a lot of heartache, and a lot of thinking, oh, that Steve Sipress guy, completely wrong. I modeled my thing and it didn't work. Like, then you didn't do it right. Because when you do it right, it works. And all of us that put stuff out, I mean, it's a dirty little secret, but the top copywriters, they pretty much know their stuff is going to work. If it doesn't work, the first test or two, we tweak it. But we got an idea of what 40 different headlines we're testing, what 32 different Facebook ads they're testing. They don't just put out one ad. They don't make it up from scratch. We know what we're testing. We know one of them is going to work spectacularly. We know what they're based on, and we know that because we're students, because we want to actually succeed. So we got to be students of success. This is one great way to do it. Study the classics. $1 Million Mailings, Denny Hatch. That's Throwback Thursday for today, February 7th, 2009 here. Oh, there's a whole bunch more people here. And Walter Wise says, look at that. Downloaded a copy from Amazon S3. There you go. Saved $89. So way to go, or I don't know how much it costs, but way to go. Walter, well named with the last name Wise, because that's a wise move. However, you likely still want to print it out. I don't know if you ever tried reading anything on the internet. You probably have. It's incredibly much more difficult, and of course more incredibly difficult to work from if you think you're going to create something from reading something online. So at least, buy the $5 worth of paper to print the thing out, but at least you saved your 89 bucks. And so there you go. A wise man, Walter Wise. Hope everybody else is equally as wise. But now don't just download it or buy it or get it or print it out or whatever. Get into that, read it over and over, let it seep into you, get some guidance so you know which one to pick to model on for your particular situation and your particular audience and your particular message. But then you're, I don't know, halfway, 3/4 of the way to success by modeling something that already works. Fair enough? We were all kids. We did the same thing. I don't know about you, but I played sports when I was a kid, and we would get up there and we would go, oh, look, I'm being Willie Stargell now with he would do the windmill with the bat, or I'm being, Mickey Mantle. We would hold the bat a certain way. Playing basketball, we would like, oh, I'm Rick Barry, do the underhand free throws, or I'm Lou Alcindor, I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the sky hook. You want to model success. We didn't say, oh, I'm going to dream up a new way to hit home runs. I'm going to stand in the batter's box backwards. I'm going to hold my hands upside down. I'm going to close my eye. I mean, just model success and then tweak a little bit for your interests. But of course, all the people I just named had batting coaches and shooting coaches. And John Wooden, one of the greatest coaches of all time, was the coach for Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Have coaches to coach you through this thing. They'll save you a lot of time, a lot of trouble, and make you a lot more money. So that's my dual advice. You get the right input, get the right coaching, put it together, have success. That'll do it for Throwback Thursday. Thanks, everyone, being here live, watching on the replay. I'll be back tomorrow on, what's tomorrow? Foundation Friday. I have a foundational basic building tip for your business. Advanced millionaire entrepreneurs need not attend tomorrow's video because it's basic. But of course, the most successful people, like I just covered, we live with the basics over and over and over. That being said, I guess I'll see everybody tomorrow on Foundation Friday. Thanks for being here today. Over and out.